The magic of reading. Welcome to KZ Academy. I'm Misty, a credentialed teacher with over 20 years of experience in second language acquisition, mathematics, and elementary education. Through teaching, coaching, and tutoring, I've dedicated my career to helping students, parents, and educators understand the science behind how we learn. This episode is inspired by posts I've been making since 2018 in online forums, which helped lay the groundwork for what is now known as the science of reading. Many of the key ideas that Emily Hanford later presented as her research were already being discussed and shared by me in these forums before she brought them to a wider audience. It's gratifying to see that the techniques I've been refining for over 20 years are now being embraced across America. Her voice played a crucial role in raising awareness and bringing these ideas into the mainstream. In today's episode, we're exploring the surprising similarities between learning to read and learning to perform a magic trick. It may sound unexpected at first, but once you see the connections, it'll all come together perfectly. So get ready and let's begin the show. The magic of the performance. Watching a magician perform is exciting, full of wonder and surprise. But while it's thrilling to watch, performing the magic yourself offers an entirely different experience. The same applies to reading. Watching others read may seem magical, but mastering it for yourself takes patience, practice, and a bit of flair. A child may love being read to, even if they can't read themselves. They can enjoy the rhythm of the words, the suspense of the story, and the pictures on the page. But enjoying a story in this way isn't the same as being able to read it on their own. Just as a magician's skill hides beneath the illusion, a reader's skill hides beneath the story, and both take years of practice to master. The making of a magician or reader. Knowing how a magic trick works doesn't make you a magician. That's only the beginning. To truly perform the illusion, a magician must follow a step-by-step process. 1. Understand the trick. 2. Break it down. 3. Repetition and timing. 4. Add style. 5. Perform with confidence. 1. Understanding the trick. Programs with directions. Today, many reading programs claim to be grounded in the science of reading, but the term has often become a buzzword used to market products without necessarily delivering the promised results. These programs introduce pieces of the reading process, but they often fail to guide students through the entire sequence needed to master reading. Instead of providing a clear, organized, and sequential path, they leave out crucial steps or expect children to fill the gaps on their own. This is similar to receiving a magic trick guide that is missing key steps, the very steps that make the illusion work. While you may have a general understanding of the trick without the missing elements, the performance falls flat. You might know the basic concepts, but without all the necessary pieces in place, the trick cannot succeed. The same issue arises with many reading programs. They may teach isolated skills like decoding or blending, but they don't tie those skills together in a clear and systematic way. This leaves students struggling to make sense of how to combine these skills to form fluent reading. It's like attempting a magic trick without the essential moves that make the illusion convincing. While you may have learned some of the steps, the full trick remains incomplete. Even worse, when these programs fail to deliver results, they often place the blame on the learner. They claim that some kids just need a different approach, as though certain children are somehow exempt from the universal process of learning to read. But while it's true that each child brings a unique set of experiences and needs, The brain's process for learning to read is fundamentally similar across all learners. Everyone needs the foundational skill of phonics to read effectively. There is no shortcut around it. The problem arises when reading is taught through disorganized or poorly structured programs. Without a cohesive, clear path, the responsibility of figuring out how to read is left to the student. This often leads to confusion and frustration as students struggle to piece the process together on their own. Just as a person could spend a lifetime trying to master a trick they saw performed without ever figuring out the entire sequence of steps, students can remain stuck in their reading journey without the right support. While some learners may be able to grasp concepts with minimal structure, we cannot expect all students to fill in the gaps on their own when critical skills have been left out. Just as a magician cannot perform a trick well without mastering every step, reading programs need to ensure that each foundational skill is taught. Only then can a person confidently perform the magic of reading. In January of 2021, I wrote, "It depends on where they are in the learning to read continuum. If they are just starting, a synthetic phonics program. If they are further along and can sound out words, easy readers. Learning to read is a sequence of steps. Some children can make rules for themselves and confirm their guesses, making better guesses with time. Most need instruction in how words are put together. English is tricky with different letter combinations that make different sounds. Also, reading literature to them doesn't help them learn to read." 2. Break it down. We cannot practice an illusion that we don't know the steps to performing. This is like watching a magic trick and then being asked to perform it immediately after seeing it. It may seem obvious, but this is often how reading has been taught. Students watch someone read, and then they are expected to do it themselves. But of course, that doesn't work. Reading, like a magic trick, is a complex skill, and it requires foundational knowledge and deliberate practice to master. This is where I differ from Emily Hanford's perspective. She places a strong emphasis on the importance of scientifically based instruction, which is critical for laying the foundation of reading skills. However, even with the best and most structured program, real learning still requires the active involvement of the learner. The student must put in the time and effort, engage with the material, and practice regularly to master the skill. No matter how well designed a program is, if the student isn't putting in the effort, they won't progress. We need to emphasize the role of perseverance and individual effort in achieving success. Learning is not passive. It's an active process. Rather than blaming the learner for their learning style or for not thriving in incomplete programs, we should emphasize that both effective instruction and sustained effort are required for mastery. Unfortunately, by attempting to learn to read through methods that didn't teach the essential steps of reading, many learners gave up, realizing that they weren't making any progress. This is where a complete step-by-step program becomes critical. Without it, students are left without the tools they need to succeed, and the lack of progress can lead to frustration and disengagement. Learning to read isn't a mystery, it's a process, and the brain requires clear, systematic instruction to build the necessary skills. Decoding, blending, fluency, these are not optional steps, nor are they interchangeable. These foundational skills must be taught, practiced, and reinforced over time, one step at a time. Reading is a complex skill, just like performing a magic trick. Complex skills take time, effort, and consistent practice to master. There are no shortcuts, no magic program that can make reading effortless overnight. The path to becoming a fluent reader requires deliberate and thoughtful instruction combined with sustained effort from the learner. Just as every magician must learn the same sleight of hand techniques, Every reader must learn the same core skills, regardless of their background or where they live. Whether they came from a bustling city, a quiet rural town, or a multilingual household, the essential steps for reading remain the same for everyone. Without a structured path, students are left to guess their way through the process, and guessing is not reading. It's just another illusion, a performance without the secret steps that make it work. Number 3, the magic of mastery. A magic book can hand you the secret behind a specific trick by providing detailed step-by-step instructions, but that alone does not make you a magician. Once you understand what is actually happening behind the curtain, the illusion no longer works on you. The mystery disappears. However, knowing how a trick is performed is a very different skill level from actually being able to perform the trick well yourself. These are two distinct levels of mastery of a skill. To successfully execute the illusion, a magician must break the trick down into individual parts and rehearse each movement slowly and precisely. Only after mastering each piece and integrating them with the other learned skills can they come together in a smooth performance. Through repeated practice, the routine becomes fluid, natural, and convincing. It is this process, not just knowing the secrets itself, that creates the magic on stage. Reading works the same way. You can teach a student the underlying mechanics, letter sounds, phonics patterns, decoding strategies, and blending techniques, but simply knowing what to do is not the same as being able to do it. Fluency in reading comes from practicing these steps until they become automatic. The transformation doesn't happen the moment the student is taught. It happens through repeated, structured practice that turns effort into ease. Just like performing a trick, reading only appears effortless after a great deal of focused, intentional effort has been invested behind the scenes. Number 4, add style. Now that you've mastered the basics of reading fluency, it's time to elevate your skills. Just like a magician perfecting their trick, at first, you learn the basic moves. How to hold the cards, how to make the coin disappear. But once you've got the technique down, the magic truly begins when you add your personal flair. The same goes for reading. It takes practice to make the story your own and bring it to life with your voice. Before you can perform, you need to experiment with how to say the words. Just like a magician adds style to their trick, a reader adds expression, emotion, and personality to the story. This is where the magic happens. You start layering in elements like tone, pacing, and emphasis, making the reading experience more engaging for both you and your audience. When you read aloud, you're not just saying words, you're telling a story. Your voice becomes a tool to breathe life into the words. Maybe you raise your voice when something exciting happens, or slow down for a dramatic pause. By adding these little touches, you transform the simple act of reading into something unique and captivating, just like a magician's performance. The key to mastering your own style is practice. You'll need to experiment with different expressions and tones until the story feels like it's coming from you. Once you find your rhythm, you'll be able to infuse your own unique touch into every word, making the delivery of your story your own. Number 5, perform with confidence. Now that you've practiced and perfected your style, it's time to perform with confidence. This is when the magic truly comes to life. Just as people enjoy watching a magician perform a trick, they too need to experience the challenge of performing it themselves if they want to be known as a good magician. Watching a great performance is one thing, but mastering it is another. After learning the steps, students must perfect them and then add their personal touch to make the trick uniquely their own. The same principle applies to reading. Once you've mastered the basics and developed your personal style, it's time to put everything together and read with confidence. When you can read smoothly with expression and flair, that is when the magic happens, not just for you, but for your audience as well. Practical tips and resources. In upcoming episodes, we'll explore practical strategies for effective reading instruction. But if you're eager to get started now, check out my Learn to Read Teacher's Manuals, Volumes 1 and 2, and the Student Learn to Read and Write Journal. These resources offer a clear, systematic path for teaching letter recognition, phonics, and blending, like having your very own magic trick handbook for reading instruction. Now, back to the conclusion. In this journey, we've seen how learning to read mirrors the process of mastering a magic trick. Both require a solid foundation, practice, and a personal touch to create something truly captivating. Just as a magician must know every movement behind the trick and practice each step to make the illusion believable, a reader must build a solid foundation of skills in decoding, blending, and fluency. But it doesn't stop there. Just as magicians add their unique style to their performance, a reader adds their voice, expression, and personality to the story, bringing it to life. If you found this discussion helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep exploring the fascinating world of education. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.